Gambia's Interior Minister renewed his ministry's commitment of combating drugs and its usage in the country. Chinese president has urged his BRICS colleagues to focus on fostering their cooperation. And stakeholders deliberated over poultry products importation in the Gambia. Stay tuned to find out why. Well, this and more coming ahead on This Week. Many thanks for joining us. This is Eyeafrica TV. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, Gambia's Interior Minister, Sia Kasonko, has revealed that the Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia has made a seizure of over 6 tons of cannabis between 2020 to date. Now, Minister Sonko was also disclosed that 3 tons of cocaine, close to a quarter of a ton of harshish, and a significant amount of controlled and prohibited drugs ranging from dustpan, clopidogrel, and escatisi, among others, were also seized within the period. He has promised his ministry readiness to intensify the war on drugs by taking every necessary step needed to combat the menace. Mafuji Sise has the details of that in this report.
The drug squad have also registered 1,698 drug cases involving 1,699 accused persons from 2020 to date. However, the country's only psychiatric hospital also reported a significant increase in the admission and treatment of drug-induced psychosis cases.
As a government, we will ensure that we capacitate and equip the league to implement a balanced strategy in solving the world drug problem in tandem with internationally recognized standards. Let me emphasize that while we address the challenges of the drug situation in the midst of global health and humanitarian crisis, we are determined to dismantle any organized criminal network that may emerge in our jurisdiction. We will deal with any such group without negotiation to safeguard our youth from misery and the suffering caused by drugs.
Many young people around the world are with the perception that cannabis is harmless, and Gambian youth are not an exception. Drug traffickers continue to use sophisticated methods to traffic their illicit products and are using larger shipment sizes, increased usage of private aircraft, water routes, contactless method to deliver their illicit products to end users. This challenge is further compounded by the advent of new psychoactive substances and the threat of illicit drug trafficking and abuse on economic and social development. The question now is, has the war on drugs failed? For Eyeafrica News, I am Mafuji Sise.
President Xi Jinping on Thursday called on BRICS countries to work together to foster a high-quality partnership and start a new journey of BRICS cooperation. He was speaking at the 14th BRICS Summit held in Beijing, where leaders deliberated on ways of cementing bilateral cooperation among member countries amid the prevailing global economic hardship. Now, under the theme, Foster High-Quality Partnership, the BRICS leaders also renewed their commitment to widening cooperation in different developmental initiatives. Here's more details of that in this report.
Taking stock of cooperation and building more consensus. This is what China is ready to work on with its BRICS partners as this year's rotating presidency. At the 14th BRICS Summit, President Xi Jinping stressed that the meeting is at a critical juncture and positive, stable, and constructive forces are needed for the world.
Sometimes smooth, sometimes rough, but always moving forward. Although the international situation is constantly changing, the trend of open development will not. The desire to work together to face challenges will not change.
The theme of the summit focuses on fostering high-quality partnerships and ushering in a new era for global development. That was echoed by participating leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa, who have long agreed on expanding the mechanism wider and deeper. The meeting adopted and issued the 14th BRICS Summit Beijing Declaration, in which the 5 countries look forward to injecting new impetus to international cooperation. The BRICS cooperation mechanism was established in 2006. Over the past 16 years, a multi-level cooperation structure has been gradually formed and has been particularly fruitful this year. For example, cooperation agreements have been signed between May and June in several key areas, including vaccines, food security, trade, digital economy, and aerospace. More meetings under the BRICS partnership will be held in the second half of the year in China.
And found a reporter in Beijing, China. Coming back home, the government of the Gambia Friday launched the sector working group's planning and management guidelines to apply in delivering development programs in the country. The document will succeed the National Development Plan 2018-2022. The launching marked the Green Recovery Focus National Development Plan 2023-2027 and the Long-Term Development Vision 2050. Aisatubi Kujabi has the details in this report.
The launching of the sector working group followed the formulation of the Green Recovery Focused National Development Plan, RF and NDP 2023 to 2027, and a long-term development vision 2050, which will serve as a successor of the NDP 2018 and 2021 and Vision 2020 respectively. The long-term development vision will guide the long-term trajectory of the country's development and transformation process. Permanent Secretary Abdoulaye Diallo said the implementation of the development plan was extended to enable government and stakeholders to work on formulating a successor recovery focused.
As you may be aware, the implementation of the National Development Plan 2018 to 2021 was extended to 2022. This will enable governments and the stakeholders to work on formulating a successful recovery-focused national development plan that will adequately address the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Broadly speaking, the plan will also help address the triple development challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and the risk of debt distress.
He added that prior to the launching, consultations were held with women, youth, children, persons with disability, council of elders across the wards and local government authorities.
Prior to this launching, consultations were held with women, youth, children, persons living with disability, council of elders across all the wards and local government authorities in the country, and also including representatives of our diaspora. These consultations has enabled stakeholders to provide their inputs into the next National Development Plan and the Vision 2050. The sector working groups, in their work, will be able to utilize and analyze these inputs from the stakeholders, in addition to the various studies, surveys, assessments, policies, and sector strategies to guide their work.
Salimata Toure, Secretary General and Head of Civil Service, emphasized that the work of the sector working group is very crucial to the formulation process of the plan.
Consultations with the stakeholders at the national level are almost complete. These consultations are generating a body of information, including reports at regional consultations that will feed into the work of the sectoral working groups. At this stage, I would like to emphasize that the work of the sector working groups is very crucial to the formulation process of the plans. The sector working groups will analyze outputs from the consultations, sector strategies and policies, surveys and studies, and thus effectively provide the necessary technical inputs that would support the formulation process, contribute to the implementation, oversee and contribute to the monitoring and evaluation of the two planning documents. Membership of the sector working groups is drawn from ministries, departments, agencies, academia, private sector, civil society, NGOs, and other relevant stakeholders with expertise in the sector.
The object of the sector working group optimize relevant sector expertise and provide an integrated review of sector-specific issues, including past and possible future performance of the sector. For Eyeafrica News, Aisatubi Kujabi.
You are watching this week's news edition on Eyeafrica TV, and we are coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And from the report there, we now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and once again, many thanks for joining us. And let's now look at the rest of the stories. Now, the Gambia government has debunked rumors of fuel shortage in the country. In a statement, the government said, of course, news of fuel shortage that has been peddling on social media is untrue. Here's more details of that in this report.
Rumors are circulating on social media urging people to buy gas oil in stock because of a possible 7 days shortage of the product. The government, however, informed the public that the information is untrue and baseless. In November 2021, Gambia was badly hit by fuel shortage, leading to the pressing of 8 economic crime charges on former general manager and operation manager of Gambia Petroleum. The two accused persons, Sehu Drame and Lamin Gassama, are standing trial before Justice Hadi Celia Roche of the Banjul High Court for their alleged involvement in causing monetary losses to Gambia Petroleum Company amounting to millions of dollars. 8 criminal charges were economic crimes, stealing by clerk or servant and directors, officers of corporation and or companies, fraudulent appropriating property, or keeping fraudulent accounts. Both of them denied liability. The state has so far called 12 prosecution witnesses to prove the case beyond all reasonable doubts. In a press statement, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, in collaboration with the Public Utility and Regulatory Authority, Gambia Petroleum and General Petroleum Services, and oil marketing companies, emphasized the need for stock level in the country to be managed strategically to avoid shortage. The release further indicated that, contrary to the claim being circulated, the government and OMCs have agreed on the fuel prices being set monthly to make fuel product affordable. The government said it continues to forgo its revenue, whilst the importers also agreed to reduce their importer margin by $20 per metric ton. The Russia and Ukraine war has brought several disturbances on the global businesses, particularly food importation, to a standstill, but the Gambia has not experienced shortages since the start of the war in March 2022. For Eyeafrica News, I am Mafuji Sise.
And from the report by Mafuji Sise, now in commemoration of course, World Food Safety Day, the Food Safety and Quality Authority of the Gambia on Friday engaged stakeholders in a debate on the theme should the Gambia cease the importation of poultry products in place of local products. Now, the debate policy and strategy in response to food safety issues in the country. Moses Imendi tells us more of that in this report.
Over the years, poultry husbandry has increasingly got popular in the Gambia. Reliance on poultry products has also been up with time. Individuals own poultry farms, but there is also commercialization of the industry around the urban areas. Poultry products are essential source of quality animal protein, especially the eggs. But quite a number of Gambians held serious reservations about imported poultry products They even argue that the government should put a ban on the importation and empower the local poultry farmers. In that token, Food Safety and Quality Authority of the Gambia, in commemoration of the 4th World Food Safety Day, pitched stakeholders against each other to contend ideas on the topic. The debate is geared towards addressing numerous food safety risks in the country. Michael Mendy, founder of Nalipal Agricultural Enterprise, in speaking against poultry egg importation, stated that importation should decline because local poultry farmers are well capable of meeting the demand supply of egg consumption in the country. He highlighted the steady rise of local production in 2020 to substantiate his claim.
So in 2020, the local production have gone over 500,000 metric tons locally. So you see from 2019, that jump from over 10 metric tons to over 500,000 metric tons. That's half a million metric tons. Obviously, because the market is there, the cost of feed was less in 2020, and other favorable conditions were there. So obviously the production has gone up.
He observed that production and expansion has since been hampered by the government's ban on chick importation from Senegal due to the avian influenza, COVID-19, and the price surge of chicken feed. Pauline Jiba, an FSQA staff member, is in favor of the importation. She rebuffed Michael's claims, saying that in the Gambia, the number of poultry farmers operating on a large scale is minimal, adding that the capacity production of poultry products is not industrialized.
First of all, I want to congratulate and thank my opponent for that beautiful presentation. But developing on his own presentation, how many of his likes are we having in the Gambian setting? He is 1 out of 1,000. And then we know that the capacity of poultry production in the Gambia has not yet been industrialized, such that local producers will be able to supply the entire Gambian population. And he centered his argument on eggs. I want to raise this argument also, that eggs are not the main and only product of poultry. When we come to the local consumption in the average Gambian context, we talk about the poultry meat.
She cautioned that a ban on poultry products might lead to trade barrier and malnutrition, considering that poultry products are rich in protein. Sekou Dramé from the Gambia Standards Bureau spoke against the importation of poultry products. He said the demand for poultry products in the country can be met considering the growing number of entrepreneurs. Mr. Dramé also further highlighted the statistics.
Gambia needs about 2 million poultry products in a month, and MPAS is able to produce around 1 million. Then you can see that in addition to MPAS, other poultry producers that are like my brother here, if you sum their quantity up, then the poultry producers, the local poultry producers will be able to meet the rising poultry.
Musa Anget, a public health student at UTG, is in support of the importation of poultry products. He believes the importation of poultry products should not be banned because the country lacks the equipment to produce enough figures to satisfy consumption needs in the country. He also kept a wary eye on the self-sufficiency ratio of the country in terms of poultry production.
The Gambians are into poultry products, and how many of the Gambians are inclined in terms of knowledge how to manage and deal with poultry products in the Gambia? If you ask yourself, do you have that data? You should actually bring up such arguments before you can raise the concern that we should go ahead and ban poultry products in the Gambia. Then another point, if I may ask you, what is the food self-sufficiency ratio as a country, where production, importation minus exportation? What is the food self-sufficiency ratio of the Gambia? Which, if not attained or if not done through research, I see no reason why you should be here to back yourself that we should ban food importation in the Gambia as a country.
A research conducted by ActionAid The Gambia and Oxfam International in 2004 on the effects of imported poultry meat and eggs on local small-scale poultry producers states that imported poultry provides a cheap source of meat for Gambian consumers, but it could also pose numerous health hazards to consumers and at the same time pose a major threat to small-scale farmers. Moses Mendy, Eyeafrica News.
And that report eventually brings us to the end of this news edition. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching and do have a pleasant night. Bye for now.